Good evening. Welcome to the special meeting for the fiscal year 2019 proposed budget for Thursday, November the 8th, 2018. And may we have a roll call, please?
Commissioners Myers. Here.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Nicosia.
Here.
Sanchez.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Driver. Here. Carswell. Here. Spiegelman.
Here.
Levy.
Here.
Gillespie. Ciccone.
Here.
Bowman. Klein.
Here.
Luther.
Here. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2019 proposed annual budget and authorizing advertisement of the budget and tax ordinance, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, and before I have comments from commissioners, I'd like to call on Township Manager Richard Manfredi.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you know, the preliminary proposed budget was presented to the Board of Commissioners on October 25.
Excuse me, Richard, is your mic on?
It is.
Okay, thank you.
On October 25. And at that time, there were various discussions and questions. I sent out a memorandum November 1 answering those questions, and I wanted to read for you what the summary of operating and capital funds within the 2019 proposed budget and fiscal year are that reflect all of those comments and the changes as I outlined in that November 1 memo. So the fiscal year 2019 appropriations for the operating funds, the general fund at $41,165,625, SOAR operations $9,145,395, highway aid $2,006,178, retirees medical $1,518,000, tuition reimbursement $15,000, workers' compensation $904,009, and refuse $6,062,324 for a total fiscal year proposed operating budget of $60,816,531. The capital funds are the SOAR operations at $25,000, capital permanent improvement $2,390,126, refuse capital at $435,000, SOAR capital $593,000 for a total of $3,443,126, or a total fiscal year 2019 all appropriations proposed budget of $64,259,657. The tax levy and appropriation ordinance is ordinance number 261, and that ordinance is that a tax be and the same be levied on all property owners and occupations within the municipality, subject to taxation for 2019 as follows. Tax rate for general purposes, the sum of 2 and 173 thousandths, 2.273 mils on each dollar of assessed valuation, which is incidentally the same as last year. And again, the only rate increases that I'm going to be reading when I read through all of these, for fire purposes, the 0.92 is an increase, and for ambulance, the 0.05 is an increase from 0.01. So again, general purposes, 2.273, fire purposes, 0.92, debt service purposes, 0.52, parks and recreation purposes, 0.25, library purposes, 0.43, ambulance service purposes, 0.05, for a total fiscal year 2019 mills on each dollar of assessed valuation at 4.443.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Manfredi. Are there any comments from commissioners? Commissioner Vice President Klein.
Yep. So have there been any changes from the meeting? What change? Can you outline the changes, specific changes?
Yes, the only change from the meeting are two items. The one item is the $28,000 that we move, when we move the monies from the capital fund for fire to the general fund, we overstated $28,000. That should have reduced the actual dollars in the fund balance, and I'll give you that number momentarily. By 28,063, but the actual number. Hang on. So what that did, is it reduced the fire and EMS services by 28,063 to 335,9196, and it also reduced the total non-operating revenues to 242,954. That was the one change. And the only other change really isn't in the 2019 budget, but as a result of the discussions that we had and the issues that you raised with respect to the geographic information system, as I mentioned, there are dollars forward for what was to be a specific vendor for GIS third-party services, that the recommendation is that we would use that $35,000 to seed, for lack of a better phrase, our own GIS system. So it wouldn't be an increase in any way or impact on the 2019 budget, but it would allow us to begin the process of establishing our own geographic information with dollars already appropriated. Those are the only two changes.
And did we get any more detail, or are we going to get more detail before the final budget on the fire capital for the fire departments, instead of just looking at $60,000 numbers?
Yes, as attached to my November 1 memo, those details were attached, outlining each project that they had indicated.
Okay.
That's the packet you handed in our place this
No,
evening.
that is just to reflect some of the changes as a result of the,
Oh.
that is just to reflect some of the changes as a result of the 28. Obviously, if you pass the proposed budget,
Right.
every line item that's affected by that 28,000 will be changed in part of what goes up tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
What I'm referring to is the various estimates that came from the fire companies.
Okay. Any more questions from commissioners? None? Any comments from the public?
Laura Lehman, 1431 Bryant Lane. Last year, I mentioned that we had things that were sort of all over the budget when we wanted to look for fire, for instance. We'd have to look here for the narrative and here for the, and asked if we could put them together. I'm going to ask that again. I actually even heard commissioners having trouble finding things where when all the fire things are together, the narrative and the individual sheets, they're easy to find. The second thing is that the $100,000 that you gifted, that I complained of, as you're aware, to the church, a gift. So that kind of a gift, when we have so many things that we have to do, that we are actually increasing taxes on people, is not acceptable. And the other thing I want to talk about is the agreement that you made, which you had been doing anyhow, between the school and the township, which actually hides millions of dollars from view. The taxpayers cannot see them. There are not line items for them. They cannot see where the money comes from. I don't even know how you can budget a code department when $550,000 worth of work is not on a line item somewhere so that you can properly budget for it. So that really needs to be changed. It's really an overt violation of all the intents of the laws, if not the laws themselves. And we still have people looking on what laws cover that and what laws might be needed if we don't have adequate ones. But when you can put millions of dollars out of view, that's a problem. Okay, and the other thing is we had a fire presentation last time, and I applaud all the firefighters. They risk their lives to do what they do for us, so that's pretty amazing. However, all of you except for the new commissioners had from me a summary of what happened with the last fire marshal when you were busy giving him an honorable citation for what happened at the colonnade that was just beyond any excuse at all. The assistant fire marshal was elevated. The presentation talked about the leaders that we have. So those things that I wrote about the fire marshal applied also to the assistant fire marshal, who is the leader now. They need to be addressed. I asked him in the hall after the last meeting if they were going to be addressed. And I got the kind of answer like, go away, we have it covered. And that's not acceptable. That's why those things persist in this township. And people's lives were at risk. We are very lucky that we didn't have a tragedy, and I would like to see some change to that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comments from the public? If there are none, I'll ask for, again, closing comments from commissioners. Any comments or questions? Commissioner Myers.
A comment about what was just said, which is just astounding to me, because the fire marshal of, I don't know, 30, 40 years, who did a stellar job, who did an incredible job in a situation that was, we're not even allowed to talk about, that was beyond his control. And upon his retirement, to have our assistant fire marshal become fire marshal for Abington Township was one of the best decisions that has ever been made by this administration. And we will never regret it. We are as safe as we can possibly be with this entire fire department under the leadership of our fire marshal's office. It is disgusting what was just said.
Any other comments from commissioners? Okay, as I stated before, there's a motion on the floor to approve fiscal year 2019 proposed annual budget and authorizing advertisement of the budget and tax ordinances, and it's been moved and seconded. And if there are no further questions, I'll ask for a vote, and may we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Commissioner Brodsky?
Yes.
Commissioner Rothman?
Yes.
Commissioner DePlacido?
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Schreiber?
Yes.
Commissioner Carswell?
Yes.
Commissioner Spiegelman?
Yes.
Commissioner Beatty?
Yes.
Commissioner Gillespie?
Yes.
Commissioner Sapone?
Yes.
Commissioner Bowman?
Yes.
Commissioner Klein?
Yes.
Commissioner Luker?
Yes.
15 unanimous in favor.
Thank you. And with that, are there any closing comments from any commissioners or staff? If there are none, that concludes our special meeting of the fiscal year 2019 proposed budget. And if there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you for attending.